Okay, girls, we need to do a story time. The reason we will be doing a story time is because I'm engaged. Can you believe I am engaged? This is actually my ring. I'm still so shook. It has been 5 days. I'm still unwell. I just wanted to come on and get ready with you and tell you about our engagement story because it was just so sweet, and I figured this would be a fun way to do it. Do a little get ready with me, do a little story time, have a little girly girl chat, and just talk about love. I just love love. Okay, let's start from the beginning. I'm gonna tell you all how we met and kind of how our first date went and everything, and just how fast this has really all happened. So yeah, that's a good place for us to start. First things first, I'm gonna be using the Hourglass airbrush primer to prime my face. So Mike and I met in February of this year, so February of 2023, and we met on Bumble. Okay, so let me just say, I was on dating apps for a very long time, and dating apps in Nashville are 10 times worse than dating apps here in Knoxville were. I actually went out with 2 different guys a few different times. So 2 different men, went on like 2 dates with one, 3 dates with another. Super nice guys, like really nice, just like weren't for me right before I met Mike. So I will say that the dating scene here has been much better. I was single for 8 years in Nashville. Went on a lot of dates and none of them ever turned out for me. So this the dating scene in Knoxville has been much better. So anyways, we met on Bumble. We talked for like a week maybe, and the only reason we didn't go out sooner was because he didn't live here. So he actually lived in Georgia. I was obviously living here in Knoxville. I'm gonna go in with the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, and so we had to wait till like we matched that week while he was working up here. That was kind of how we matched. Knoxville was his territory, and so, or East Tennessee, so that was kind of how we matched. And then we were texting, obviously talking on the app while he was here, and then he went back to Georgia, and then when he came back again that Sunday was when we planned our first date. So our first date was, let me make sure this is in focus, and I'm going to like move you in a little bit closer to my face. So our first date was brunch. So we met at like 1 or 2 o'clock, I can't remember, on a Sunday afternoon. Went to this very cute little brunch place. We ate for like, I don't know, I mean, and it's just not long enough. Like honestly, like just a meal, I say that it's not long enough, but I've been on other dates where like I'm struggling to get through the hour. So I guess it was just because I was with the right person. It felt like it was like the shortest like hour of my life. And so we just talked and talked and talked, and it was going so well, and we both were like, we still want to keep hanging out. What can we go do? So this is in February, so like cold outside, you can't go for a walk. At the time, I don't think that the Topgolf here was open yet, so I was like, okay, the best I can do is we can go to this place. It's called Main Event, and they have like bowling and arcade games and stuff. So I was like, let's go to Main Event, play some games. It'll be perfect. So we went there, and we had to wait a while for our like bowling lane or whatever. Also, I have a mirror over here. If I keep looking over, I'm like trying to make sure this looks decent. This foundation's great. It's very buildable. So I'm just putting on like a little bit at a time. But I am trying to look like, you know, full coverage. So I need it to build, to do its job. We went bowling, went and played all these arcade games, talked and talked and talked. I think I literally have a picture from our first date at that bowling place, and I like texted my friends and I was like, oh my god, this is the best first date I've ever been on. And I've probably said that before, honestly, but this really was the best first date I had ever been on. We go bowling, and then he's like, why don't you just like show me around Knoxville? So we kind of drive around. I'm like telling him about all these places, showing him stuff, and then at this point it's like 5, and it's like, okay, does the date end or do we keep hanging out? And he was like, I mean, I can take you back to your car or we can keep hanging out. And I was like, honestly, I'm kind of hungry again. We could go to dinner. So we went to dinner. So our first date was actually like a whole day of being together. So it was just obviously so great. Like, I literally came home that night and I called my cousin and her husband, and I was like, I just went on the best first date ever. This guy was amazing. Like, it just was everything. Like, it was perfect. And they were like, oh my gosh, like maybe you've met your person. We just were like swooning over it. And the thing that was really exciting was like, we had gone on this date, and then he asked me to like on another date while we were still on the date. And that's just so hot. When you're dating and a man like makes plans for the next date while you're already on the date, like that's just hot, you know? We go to breakfast the next morning. Still was just as great in like the light of day. I was like, okay, fabulous. And then he asked me to lunch. That was on a Monday morning. So Sunday we did the whole day date. Monday we went to breakfast, and then he asked me to go to lunch that Wednesday before he was driving back to Georgia. So I was like, this man obviously likes me. Like, I'm not having to guess if he likes me or not. And I will say that was the thing that made this so different, was that he wasn't playing games with me. It was just like so straightforward. I knew how he felt about me. I never was wondering where we were at or how things were going. Like, I just knew because of the way he treated me. So we went to lunch, and it was just so like, I was like, how is this so easy, like being with this person? It just didn't make sense to me that dating didn't have to be miserable. You know what I mean? I'm gonna go in with the Rare Beauty stick in Happy Soul. I just didn't understand how dating someone could be so much fun, and you could just literally laugh your butt off and have the best time with someone. Like, that was just so foreign to me. So we go to lunch, and at that lunch she's like, okay, listen, here's the thing. I would really love for you to come to Georgia this weekend. I know that's very forward. I know that that is like a lot. We just met. It's been a week. Like, I know that if that's too much, we can like slow things down. And I don't know what came over me, but I said yes. And I was kind of freaking out. Like, I didn't tell my parents where I was going, but I did, like, actually, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, who even kept my dog? Like, how did I pull this off? Like, I don't even remember. But I go down there, and because of his job and like him traveling and stuff, he just like rented a room from one of his best friends. Like, they're married, they own their house, and so he just like paid them rent for like a room since he was only there like 3 days a week. And so I met them, and I was just like, how, like, what am I doing? Like, this is insane. But it was also like the easiest, most fun thing I've ever done in my life. Like, we just had the best weekend. We cooked out. I think that's like blended enough. And then I went and did something, like we hung out with it. It was just like, we had so much fun. And I remember like texting my friends and being like, this feels like I'm hanging out with my friends. Like, it's so easy. It's so much fun. We're laughing. Like, it was just, I don't know, I could just tell like it was such an easy thing. I'm going in with the e.l.f. blush and Berry Radiant. And I remember like having such a fun time. And then that night, that like, I think I went down on like a Saturday morning. That night we were laying in bed and kind of like talking about stuff. And I just was like, okay, I really like you. This is going very well, very fast, but I just want to make sure we're on the same page about a few things before we just like continue down this path of getting to know each other, because this is just from the jump start like going so fast. So I kind of like berate him with like my hard questions. Like, I like just rapid fire, like hit him with all these big things, and he answered all of them, and we aligned on everything. And so that, I think having those conversations, and obviously he had some things too that we talked through that, you know, were important to him and conversations that, you know, were had. But I was just like, okay, this could work. Like, this actually, for the first time in my life, I feel like could actually be going somewhere, and it's not like in my head, and I'm not just building it up on my side, and it's not one-sided. Like, it's actually, this could work. And so the thing was, is that from that weekend, we just never pumped the brakes. Like, we were together 24/7, I'm pretty sure, since we met. Like, and I don't, like, I never had a time where I was like, we need to slow down, or we need to, there was one time, like, I think it was me realizing I was falling in love with him, and I just got a little freaked out by that because I had been single for so long. I was not used to someone helping me and cooking dinner for me and just being there all the time. So that was really hard to adjust to because I lived by myself for years and I provided for myself, and so that was tough for me. And that was the one time that I said, like you, I want this to keep moving forward, but I also just maybe need a second. And he was like, take all the time you need, like, was so receptive, so kind. And I think that that also showed me how he treated me in that moment. I was like, oh, like, he really likes me, like, this is real. And then I think from that, once he kind of gave me that, like, reassurance there I needed, it just, like, we just continued to kind of fall hard and fast. Just things moved really quickly. I will say, people have asked me, like, we said I loved you. We said I love you after 3 months. So it was in April that we said I love you. People have asked, like, when did you guys start, like, talking about getting engaged, or were you, like, did you realize you were getting engaged? So one thing that's funny to me is I'm like, okay, if you, like, truly have zero clue that you're getting engaged, like, have y'all just, like, really not talked about it at all? Like, I just feel like it's something you for sure have conversations about. We started having those conversations in, like, July, I would say. Really seriously being like, okay, here's the thing. We love each other. You're my person. I can't be without you. Let's, you know, move forward with this. And from there, I mean, we had conversations about, okay, like, seriously, like, what kind of ring do you think you want, or what ideas, you know, can you give me? And that was that. Make sure that's all blended out. So the more seriously we started to have these conversations, then it obviously became like, okay, like, if we are going to get engaged, like, when would we realistically want to get married? And for the both of us, it was in, like, the fall or winter, which, since we were kind of having these conversations going into fall, we were like, okay, so we wouldn't get married until, like, 2024 of next year, like the fall or winter. And so kind of had an idea that an engagement was coming by the end of the year. So this is not, like, a total shock to me. We've definitely just been having conversations about it all the time. I was so excited, like, obviously, to be engaged to him. Like, I love him. I tell him all the time, like, you could have proposed with, like, just a gold band or, like, a piece of paper, like, tied in a circle. Like, I would have said yes, because I just want us to be married and get to start our lives together. We were definitely, like, having those conversations. The engagement. My birthday is December 6th, and he had asked me, like, I don't know, like 3 weeks ago, what I wanted to do for my birthday. And I had kind of said, like, I don't know, like, you know, I'm turning 29, so I was like, I don't know, like, I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury powder in medium. I was like, I don't know, honestly, like, I would be cool just to, like, go to dinner with mom and dad and my brother and call it a day. And he was like, okay, well, you know, why don't me and you go do something? And I was like, yeah, that'd be fun. Like, I also just have never been in a relationship with someone that just, like, wanted to do something very kind and nice for me for my birthday. So I just was so excited that he was, like, being intentional, and, like, we were having a nice date night, and, you know, gonna go out to dinner together. Like, anytime we get together like that, just him and I, and it being really intentional, like a date night, it's just always so fun. So it's just really something to look forward to. And I, you know, was just really excited about that. So he'd asked me, he's like, okay, like, what day works good? So we were originally planning for this past Friday, which would have been the 1st of December. I'm gonna go in with the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer just in my crease. And so that's like kind of what the plan was the whole time. We had been looking at a few different restaurants, and I found this one restaurant that neither of us had been to before, and it was like very bougie. Like I was kind of like, this is like really nice. Like, I mean, yes, it's my birthday, but also like, this is an expensive dinner, you know? It's just kind of like, we don't have to go there, like, you know, it's not, we don't have to do that. And he was like, no, like it'll be fine. Like it's for your birthday. Like we're celebrating, it'll be great. So we planned to go Friday. Then I think it was like Monday night, he was like, oh, like I just saw on Instagram that the Knoxville Christmas parade is downtown on Friday night. Is there any other night this week that you can go to dinner? Like Wednesday or Thursday. I was like, oh yeah, like we can go on Wednesday. So we planned to go on Wednesday. I obviously have thought about like how he was gonna do this, you know? So I was like, we could be getting engaged. We could just be going to dinner for my birthday. Like, I don't know, it's just really a toss-up at this point. And so now I'm gonna go in with my Natasha Denona palette. I need a nude, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Look at these colors. Like there's mattes and shimmers, and it's just like every color you would literally ever need. I kind of had an idea. I was like, okay, like this could happen, but also like I don't want to put pressure on this happening and then disappoint myself. Like I don't want to build up something. I'm really bad about that, and I was like, I don't want to build up something in my mind and then it don't happen, and then I get disappointed, because at the end of the day I still have like the love of my life, like the greatest boyfriend ever, taking me to dinner for my birthday, like a very nice dinner. Like I'm not gonna be in my head about this. So I was just excited. And he had also been saying for weeks, like he had been planting these seeds. It was so funny hearing the story from his side, because he had been planting the seeds of this proposal for weeks. Like he had been saying, like, which he does really love Christmas, but he was like, oh my gosh, like we have to go see the big Christmas tree downtown. Like I just want us to get a picture in front of it. Like that'll be so much fun, like such a good memory, blah, blah, blah. And I want to go see like the ice skating rink down there and all these things. And so I'm just thinking like, great, yeah, like let's do it. Like that'll be Christmas card worthy, you know? Like I'm just like, I don't know, we do fun stuff a lot. So it was just kind of like, yeah, like that'll be so much fun. So we go to dinner and both of us are like dressed up pretty nice. And the thing that kind of threw me off was he was acting so calm. Like I was like, yeah, I don't think he's proposing to me, because he's acting calm as a cucumber. No, not nervous, like not nervous at all. Could not have like, was like making jokes, laughing, like it was just like a normal date night. So I was just like, he's not proposing, like he would be nervous. And he had even told me, we had kind of talked about that, like he was like, oh, like I'll be so nervous whenever I propose, like I'm gonna be scared that you're gonna know. And he wasn't nervous at all. He was not nervous one bit. So we go to this dinner. Dinner was fabulous. It was, if you're ever in Knoxville, or I think they have them in Austin, Texas, or Fort Worth, I can't remember. It's called the Lonesome Dove. Fantastic food, like so good. So we finished our dinner. Our dinner was great, and he's like, let's walk up to the tree. He's like, do you want to walk there or drive? And I was like, honestly, it'll be good for us to walk. Like we just ate this huge meal. So we walk up there. The whole time he's just like acting so normal and calm, cool, collected. Also, like he has on like jackets and stuff, and I'm like I didn't even think about this until after the fact, but like I never saw the ring box, not once. So I was just like, we're just taking a picture in front of this tree. Like, so we get up there, and there's like a random lady standing there with her little boy. They were like also looking at the tree, and he like was like, hey, would you mind taking our picture? And I had this camera with us, and for some reason like I had messed up the focus on it, so like it was kind of out of focus with like the lights and everything downtown, and I thought I had fixed it. So anyway, she takes one picture of us, and she was, thank God, like such a nice person, and was like, oh, like it's really blurry, can you like fix it and I'll take another one. So also let me say, he did not like plant her there like a random person. And so thank goodness, she was literally an angel, was so kind, like took our picture, waited for me to get the focus fixed, took our picture again, And that second time that she started taking our picture, we were standing beside each other, and he was on this side of me, and he had his hands in his pockets. And I just remember being like, why does he have his hand in his pocket? Like, why won't he put his hand around me? So I literally said, like, I was like, put your arm around me. And he was like, no, my hands are cold. And then right when she started taking pictures again, he got down on one knee, and I'll insert the pictures here so y'all can see them. They're also on my Instagram. And, you know, gave me his little speech that he had prepared and was like, Madison, I love you so much. Will you be my wife? And I just immediately start bawling. I cannot control myself. I'm crying uncontrollably. Yeah, that was the moment that all of a sudden I look up and my parents were around the corner the whole time waiting on him to get down on one knee. So when I see my mom, I'm like unwell, just like sobbing. And my brother was there, and my dad was there, and like and everyone's just like, we all like, obviously I am obsessed with Mike. I love him so much, but it means so much too that like my whole family loves him so much. So like they were all so excited. We were so excited, so happy. Like I was just so shocked that I hadn't even put the ring on my finger or even looked at it. So I'm just looking at him, and then I see my parents, and I'm like, oh my God, like this is just crazy. And then he has this ring, and he's like, literally like has it, and he's like, please like put this on your finger. And so I put the ring on my hand, and I'm trying to get it to focus. And I was just even more shocked because it's beautiful and way more than I was thought about or expected or anything of that nature. It's beyond, like it's gorgeous. Literally like my dream ring. Like it's just, and it's so simple, just like on the gold band. Like I am obsessed. I love it. So I finally put the ring on my finger, and it's just so gorgeous, like in every single way. And I just like can't stop crying. I'm like uncontrollably sobbing. I'm like, how is this real? How is this happening? Like this is crazy. I was just so in shock. Like I kept looking at him, and I was like, I cannot believe this. And he was like, I can, but I've also been planning this for like 2 months. So it was just so sweet that he included my family. Like that was one thing that he had asked me kind of like, is there anything that's like just really important to you about your proposal? And I was like, I really would love my parents to be there. I think that for me, that's kind of, you know, it's just, you know, I just wanted to get them to experience that with me and with us. And so that was just so special. And like my brother got a video of it. Like it was just the best day ever. Like it was incredible. I can't even still like I still can't believe, like I keep looking down at my hand and I'm like, I'm engaged, like what the heck. So it's just been like the best week. Like we've obviously both just been on like such a high from everything, and all the love and congrats have been amazing, and just couldn't ask for, you know, better friends, better family. Like it's just been a blessing, honestly. I'm going in now with just like a CoverGirl eyeliner and a soft brown color. And I'm gonna move this closer to me so I can see myself while I'm doing this, while I'm still talking to you. Impressive, right? When he started telling me about kind of how the ring came to be, and you know, of him like getting it and hiding it in the house and like making sure I didn't find it and all this stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh, this has been going on for so long. Like it was, I don't know, just the thought he put into it, I think was so sweet and intentional and everything I've ever wanted. Like I think I've shared a little bit about it on this channel, but I know on my Instagram I've shared a lot about my singleness and just like how I have been the single friend for so long. And I I mean, I was single for 7 years before I met, 8 years actually before I met Mike. And it was really hard because when you're in your 20s and all of your friends are starting to get engaged and get married, and then in my case, like, I think literally the day that I got engaged, one of my best friends also had her baby. So, her second baby. Just so crazy that, you know, this finally happened, because it's just been this thing that I've like been wanting and waiting on for so long. I'm using the Wet n Wild Photo Focus translucent powder. It's like my favorite powder from the drugstore. And just going in with a little puff to do this on certain parts of my face. So it just was such a shock, even though we had talked about it, even though I had a feeling it like could happen. I think just the fact that this is something that I've wanted for so long, like having it actually happen, I'm just like, I still can't believe it. And I will say that all those years of waiting and being the single friend, and, you know, being the one that's like always planning the showers and always the bridesmaid, never the bride, like, that was me. And it was really hard, but also if I look back at, you know, the relationships that I had at those times when I like really was wishing that it would work out, I'm so glad that I waited on this relationship, because nothing else would compare to this or be as great or as sweet and, you know, as wonderful as this is. Now that I have Mike in my life, like, I don't know what I would do without him. It just goes to show that like waiting on the right person is worth it, and it will come with time. I know that when you're in it and when you're in, you know, your singleness and you're the friend that's single, like, you don't want to hear that. You know, no one wants to be the single friend. No one wants to go alone to everything, to never have a plus one. But I will say, like, I would do it all over again to get to be with him, because it's just been the best almost year of my life. And now obviously we are engaged to be married, and we get to move into this whole season of engagement and just like really enjoying that. And I just can't wait. Like, it's just so fun. I will say I can't wait, but then I'm also like, I can, because I'm just like, I never want this to end. Like, and it's not going to, because we're getting married. Like, that is just truly the sweetest thing in the world to me, that we get to be together and build our own family and our own legacy. And I just can't wait. This is a Makeup Forever blush, and I couldn't tell you the color of it because I've had this since college and it's worn off. So I do a lot of blush, but blush is like the first thing to go that fades. So that is our kind of love story, our engagement story, if you will. It has been a whirlwind of a year, I will say that. Obviously, I now understand what people mean when they say like so much can change in a year, because if you would have asked me, like, I remember my birthday last year being very sad, and not because no one told me happy birthday or like, you know, I didn't do anything. Like, my parents took me to a really nice dinner, but I had just moved here and I didn't really have like a ton of friends here yet. My first birthday, like 28 was my first birthday away from all of my friends in Nashville, and I just had such a good community there to where like I always had plans on my birthday. Like, I never had to worry about being alone or being sad. Like, someone, you know, like I would do like a special breakfast in the office with my work friends, and then we would do like a birthday lunch, and then for dinner I would be with, you know, other friends. And so it just was different when I was there, and I was kind of rebuilding that here. And it was just kind of a sad birthday, I feel like. And I remember I took the day off work because why not? It was a Monday, I think. So I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna long weekend, I'll take the day off work. And I just sat at home all day and I was like, wait, I'm so sad. Like, why did I not work today? And it was just not, it was not that great of a birthday. Like, I think I cried that night. Like, it was just sad. I'm gonna go in with the Rare Beauty Mesmerize highlighter. And now, exactly almost to the day, a year later, I have been in such a happy relationship for like all of my 28th year of life, and I'm engaged to be married to my best friend. So I just want to share that story, and like I'm gonna put a little bit of this on my lid too, because like why not? Just shine into the heavens, baby. And I like a lot of highlight on my nose and on my Cupid's bow. There we go. I just want to share this story and like share more and like be more vulnerable, do more things like this to talk about my singleness and like talk about the things that I learned, because I remember like not really having a ton of people that were like a little bit ahead of me in life that were still single. Like there just weren't that many, because we live in the South and everyone gets married. This is a Maybelline Express Brow and Brown. Everyone gets married right after college. It was really hard, and I know how that feels to be the only one and to be like, when is it going to be my turn? When am I going to get the thing that I want or the thing that I've been praying for? And I do, you know, I do believe that God's timing is perfect, and that when I look back at the years that I had and that Mike had in 2022 before we met each other, I like fully believe that like God knew that we needed each other, and that makes me very emotional to think about. But if you know us personally and you know our stories of the things that we've gone through in 2022, we both lost people very close to us and dear to us, very tragically, and it was just, you know, it was just a hard year. And I think that God knew that we needed each other, and I'm so thankful for that, because He brings out the absolute best in me and vice versa, and we have so much fun together, and it was worth waiting on the right person. Just don't lose hope if you're still single. Don't lose hope if you're on the dating apps and it stinks. Like I said, I went on a lot of dates. You have to kiss a lot of frogs. Unfortunately, I do always say to my friends, you know, that are not as apt to go on the dating apps, that unfortunately, like, unless you're gonna marry like the pizza guy or the mailman, like you do have to try. And it sucks. It really sucks. And I do think that some things happen when you least expect them. Like I do wholeheartedly believe that. But I also think that you have to like put yourself in a place and in a mindset to accept that thing for yourself, whatever that is. And for me, I think that there was a lot of inner work that had to happen. And I had lived in Nashville for 7 years after college, and just was really trying to make it work there, because in my head when I left Knoxville at 18 to go to college, I was like, I'm leaving my small town, I'm getting out, I'm gonna go build this life in Nashville, I'm gonna meet a husband, we're gonna have this fabulous life there. And that's not how my story went. And I was trying to force something. This is the Maneater mascara. I was trying to force something that wasn't for me. Like that city wasn't for me. I was never really, I don't want to say never, but for the last like probably 2 years, I was not super happy there. And I think that that's because I was really trying to make it work when it wasn't truly what I wanted. And the thing that shifted things for me was when I asked myself, what do you want and where do you see yourself with what you want? So if you're someone that is like, you know, why is it just so hard? Why are things not working? I do think that sometimes we have to take a step back and have some self-reflection and say, okay, let's step back for a second. You know, for me, I was living in Nashville, 27 years old, and I was like, what do I want? I really want to find my person, to settle down, to get married, to start building a family, to buy a home of my own, to build some wealth, to, you know, figure out the things that are the most important to me and live those out. And I said, okay, if that's what you want, then where do you see yourself doing that? And for me, you know, when I start thinking about those questions and I start thinking about settling down and having a family, for me, that was in Knoxville, because I cannot imagine raising my kids not being close to my parents. I've watched my 2 cousins that have kids, how amazing it's been for them. You know, having their parents so close. My mom and dad do a lot with their kids too. You know, it's just been fun to get to watch them step into that role of kind of like a grandparent. And I can't imagine doing life without my parents, you know, like with a family. And so for me, that was a lot of what influenced my decision to move home, was because I knew that for what I wanted and where I saw myself, it was here in Knoxville, and it wasn't in Nashville. And that was a really hard decision to come to, and I almost feel like I had to grieve that idea in my head that I had of the life that I was gonna have there when I left at 18, that I had just built up in my head, because it wasn't for me. And that's okay. It's totally fine if it's not for you. And I'm not saying that if you're not having dating like in like a big city and you've been there for a while, like pack up your shit and go home. Like, that's not what I'm saying. But I do think that you need to, you know, kind of think about what you want and how you're gonna get there, and then putting yourself in situations to receive that thing. So I think that that is kind of how I got myself to this place of, you know, being able to receive this thing, because I finally was ready for it. It was like in a place where I was settled down and I was home, and you know, it just, things got a little bit, they just started to make a little bit more sense. That was such a long-winded story. I just wanted to share about our engagement. We're so excited. Share about kind of how everything went down. I know I've had a few people be like, oh my gosh, like that was so fast, y'all. You know, it was just real quick. But I also think once you're a little bit older, like we're both now 29, I think that things just move a little bit faster in general. But I also now am such a believer in when you know, you know, because we knew, and things just kept rolling really fast. You are in a place where there's something, you know, you have been single, you're the single friend, you know, you really, really want the relationship. I understand, and I've been there. And if this is like if this hurts to watch because this is just another engagement that you're hearing about this holiday season, like, I'm sorry. And I've been there when you're like, if I see one more fracking engagement on my Instagram, I'll punch her. So I get it. I'm with you. I'm standing with you. I'm believing things for you. If that's what you want for yourself, I will stand beside you and believe it for you. If you want prayers over anything, if that's something that you believe in, I'm a praying person. I'm a believer. I'm a Christian, and that this has been a conversation between God and I for a really long time. And if that's something that you want prayers for, I would love to join you in prayer for that, because I have so many friends that have been prayer warriors for me about this relationship and about Mike before we even knew who Mike was. And so I know how powerful prayer is, and I believe in it. So if that's something that you are waiting for and believing for, I'm right there with you, believing it for you, standing beside you, right behind you, encouraging you every step of the way, because I've been there, and it will work out and it will be okay, and you will find your person, because I'm proof of that. Thank you all so much for watching. This was so much fun to make. I love a little get ready moment. And comment below any other videos that you'd like to see. I would love to do more like makeup style, like chit chat videos, or topics that you would like to like hear me talk about, like singleness or advice I wish I had when I was a little bit younger, just anything like that. I would love to kind of make more of these like just sit down and talk videos, because I think they're really fun. So thank you all for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for loving me through this season and all the kind words. We are just so grateful and so excited. So really appreciate everything, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.